Machines have many advantages. Here we have an example of a machine that has a mechanical advantage that is relating to force. So here you can see the advantage is a 12:3 ratio. A 12:3 ratio where my output force is compared to my input force. The output force is what's coming out of the machine, or what the machine's doing. So the machine, in this case a lever, is lifting up some object over here, and that's what the result is. That's what we're getting out of the machine. The input force is what we're putting into the machine. And you can see that this person is putting in their own weight to cause this lever to move down so that the rock can move up. The mechanical advantage of this machine is stated as 12:1, which lets us know that for every 12 pounds that we want to get out or that we want to lift, we need to put in 3 pounds of our own force to cause that to happen. Let's say that we have our same machine, still have a 12:3 ratio, mechanical advantage, and I'd like to use that information to figure out how big of an object could I lift if I used 4 pounds of my own force. So I have, using 4 pounds of input force, what weight object could I lift? Alright, well, 12:3 is good information, but it's also going to be a little difficult for me to get to 4. So I can use a method that we call using our unit rate. Our output force to input force is 12:3. I'm going to write that in fraction form to allow myself to manipulate the fraction a little bit more easy. When I do that, my unit rate is always going to compare to 1 unit. So to get from 3 to 1, I divided by 3. So I need to do that to my numerator as well. 12 divided by 3 gives me 4. So my unit rate tells me that for every 4 pounds that I'd like to lift, I need to use 1 pound of my own force on the machine. This unit rate is great now because now I can see that it asks me, using 4 pounds of input force, what weight object could I lift? My unit rate can be used to tell me the answer to that. I can use my unit rate, and here I know that 4 came from this 12, and 12 was my output force. So I don't want to forget my units. So I can use my unit rate, 4:1, and I can do 4 output to 1 input. And I can actually multiply that by 4 pounds of input. And then I know that I can put this over 1. So when I multiply this, my input units cancel out, and I'm left with 4 times 4 is 16. 1 times 1 is 1. And my units, my input force and my input force divided out, so I'm left with 16 pounds of output force. Wow, so if I put in 4 pounds, I can actually get out of my machine a 16-pound object, or in other words, lift a 16-pound object. So you can use your unit rate to figure out what you're looking for sometimes. So here I have, using 4 pounds of input force, I can lift a 16-pound object, which I don't really need this one anymore because anything over 1 is just itself.